come it goes when you poke the button? You guys kind of seem like you're ready to party.
Yeah!
I'll party.
I'm always down to party.
Heck yeah. I'm Kristin, and with me today is Amber and Brandon.
Hello.
Hello. So I guess we're talking about the Iron Giant today.
Yes!
Yeah.
I know this is one of your favorites, Brandon.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to say that because I've only seen it maybe once, but some movies are easy to watch once and say, oh, this is my favorite.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like the favorite, but I would say one.
I would say it's one of my favorite animated movies, definitely. It's one
Yeah.
I've watched a lot.
When did you guys both first see it?
When I was probably... It had to have been from my brother's friend David, because he was obsessed with it. And so I wanted to say when I was like...
Was he your age?
Yes, he was in my age group. So I think I was probably 10 or 11, which makes sense because it came out in 99. So, yeah.
I saw it on Cartoon Network. I'm not sure when they aired it. They probably aired it a lot, but occasionally they will actually play feature movies, and that was one that I picked up on.
Do you remember how old you were?
This was probably a couple years after it came out. It was definitely sometime in high school. So early 2000s, I think it was on TV.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me, I definitely remember the VHS box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when I even first heard of it because I hadn't seen it before until I watched it for this.
Right.
And the only thing I knew about it was that it makes boys cry.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me cry too.
Yeah,
it's
me
a
too.
really, it's a touching animated movie.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll go straight into the IMDb summary. A young boy befriends a giant robot from outer space that a paranoid government agent wants to destroy.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yes, that's one of the better synopses. Like that sums it up pretty well.
What you said you had maybe only seen it the once?
Yeah, I think so.
What was it that you remembered most?
I think the most iconic part was the sacrifice because it encompasses so many different things about that movie. You know, it's got...
There are a lot of threads tied together.
Yeah, it touches on that nuclear scare. It touches on the friendship built up to that point, and it touches on his personality of him being the one to do that. It was very hard to forget that scene.
Yeah. And how much would you say you had watched it? Somebody had a tape, but...
I want to say I've seen this movie over a dozen times.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
Wow. When was the most recent time you'd seen it before this?
Probably, I want to say probably before I was dating Brand, so probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
It's one of those movies that my sister really liked too, and I have a sister who's like 17 years younger than I am, so we watched a lot of the same... We
you
ended
were
up
able
sharing
to
movies.
share those?
Yes, share those movies, and she got really into the Iron Giant, so we watched that a lot with her as well. And again, with kids, it's like when kids watch movies and they like a movie, they watch it a lot.
All day, every day.
My brother and I were the kind of kids who also like to do the pause and like look between frames. And also the Iron Giant had a lot of good smear or like the in between frames for animation.
Oh, I see.
And so we would.
You were those kids.
Yeah, we were those kids that would rewind and then pause, play, just to see the in between frames.
Wow, I never considered that, but you guys are both artists. So
yeah, it was
that's
also because it
cool.
was funny to see the smear frames when like going from one extreme action to another, and like the in between state when like especially with the government agent who's like hell bent on finding
he
this
had
robot.
some of the most interesting faces.
Yes, and so like some of the smears, like especially when there's a scene where his head gets caught in a door, where it's just like all smushed up, and that's some of the funniest in between face stuff. But yeah, so we watched a lot, and I think for me, there's a couple things I really liked. I really liked Dean.
Dean is my new husband.
Yes. I really enjoyed Dean, and I was like 10, 11, so starting to crush on... I mean, I was really crushing on cartoon characters, but Dean definitely. But then just like the funny stuff of it, like when Hogarth has to do the prayer scene.
I found that
really
very
good scene.
painful.
Oh, it's so good. So get out, Satan. Like that's something that I like. My brother and I have like is in our like lexicon. You know,
Right,
like
exactly.
So
Was there any crazy grace after you guys watched that?
yeah, we would do funny stuff. We would be mimicking that scene a lot and just like
Excellent.
yeah, that's good.
Also something I would never have thought about because we didn't do that.
Yeah, we prayed all the time, so that was definitely a funny scene for us.
Okay, I guess let's go ahead and go through a synopsis.
First off, this is set in 1957.
Yes.
And this is our first. Is this the first animated movie that you've done for Party Like? Is this?
I was trying to think about it, and I think it is because we haven't done Toy Story.
No.
Oh wow.
That wouldn't. Wait, did Toy Story 2 come out in 99? Okay.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
We haven't done. I wanted to do Princess Mononoke. We haven't done that yet.
Ooh, that'd be good too.
Yeah.
So first off, it's set in 1957. And it's one of those movies where it's like it's an animated thing, and so I'm like, the giant robot's walking around. No, why is anybody seeing it or talking about it? It's like, well, it's set in 1957 and nobody has cell phones. Yep. So
yeah, people have to ask for phones.
Yeah,
Yes.
he has to hike up to a house to find a phone.
Yeah. So I think the opening scene is on the ocean, storm, old man on a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see like a meteorite or some shooting star come down and hit the ocean.
Yeah, because it shows Sputnik floating around just to
yes.
let you know what time it is.
Yes.
And then it'll show that meteor, and then it'll show it from perspective of space, and then from the boat guy.
And then he ends up running into basically the Iron Giant because he thinks it's a lighthouse, but it turns and it's two eyeballs. And
Pretty
it's
freaky. That's pretty cool.
Off the coast of Maine.
Yes.
He survives. He actually
Yeah,
washes ashore.
I was like, oh, he's gonna die. Our first death, right in the first.
Yeah, right in a
fight.
cartoon. But no, he survives. And then,
Mom works at a diner.
yeah, I think the diner scene might be the because he has his squirrel.
Yeah, I remember because he's riding his bike and I was like, oh wow, look at that wide-eyed optimism and that child. I'm a child riding a bike through town.
His eyes are so round.
I know. Gosh. So yeah, squirrel in the diner. So you meet Hogarth and the mom.
He's trying to show it to the mom. The mom's like not wanting this to even happen because of previous experiences.
With the raccoon.
With the raccoon.
Yeah. And then it gets out in the restaurant.
Of course. And then it goes up into Dean's pants.
Yep. So like in the background, there's kind of these old fogies talking, and like the old sailor is trying to tell his friends like, something came from outer space, and they're like blaming it on you're a drunk.
Yeah.
And Dean whips around and he's like, I saw it too. And Hogarth gets really excited and he's like, I believe you.
I believe you, yeah.
But Dean says, I didn't really see anything. It's just that if you don't stick up for the kooks, who will?
Yes, exactly.
That was a really nice moment.
That's the first moment you're like, this dude is all right.
Well, that he's not dismissive of a kid right away.
Exactly.
That was my big thing, is like he didn't immediately outright dismiss this kid from like talking to him or be weird, just ran with it. And was actually engaging him.
Yeah, because the kid just came up out of nowhere and just hopped into his booth.
And he's also
they start
not
talking.
condescending to this other guy like the rest of them are.
Right. So, and then I guess the old man was also talking about how he called the government. He called the government.
Yeah.
And so I think after that is when we get introduced to the agent who comes in, because people's stuff is getting
Bitten.
chomped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it'll just show a tractor and then just giant bite mark. There was a couple cars.
Wait, no, I think we're missing something. I think, doesn't Hogarth?
Mom sends him home and says, I'm going to be back late.
Yes.
No scary movies.
Yeah.
No stacks. And what, in bed by 8
By
or
8,
something?
bed by 8. Oh, Mom, you know me.
Yep. Smash cut to
him filling a Twinkie with whipping cream, which my brother said he's done before, and it's not that great.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
It looks like it would be good, though.
It looks difficult.
I mean, maybe for like an 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid.
Sure. When you're trying to stay up past 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Watching Monster Brain movies.
Yes. Oh, it was good. Oh, I love the acting
Yeah.
in the... Oh, darn, I forgot my keys. I'll have to go back into the room. Oh, darn.
Hogarth went upstairs for something, I think because he heard it. But then at the same time, the movie was
so good.
getting to be the death scene of that guy. So even though he heard this weird sound, he rushed back downstairs just to see the scene.
Yeah.
And then we lose the signal.
Yes. And because the antenna's completely gone, right?
Yeah, he then goes up on the roof to like try to fix the antenna.
Yeah.
And notices this trail of destruction walking off toward the forest. And he's like, that's pretty weird. So he goes and suits up.
Yep. With his BB gun and his helmet and
There's a flashlight taped to the BB gun.
The helmet that probably belonged to his dad.
Yeah, I did notice there was the photo next to his alarm clock.
Yeah.
I don't think they mention his father at all.
No.
Nope.
It's just in the background.
But it looks like he was a pilot, so got a little pilot hat.
Aw.
And in 57, I would guess, how old? Do we know how old Hogarth is?
I would say he's probably 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Like,
So maybe the dad was in Korea.
That's what I would guess.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And this is when we're introduced to the giant, because he ends up seeing him at the power station eating. And he saves the giant because the giant gets electrocuted because...
Yeah, he gets all tangled up. Like He came all this way from wherever he's from, only to get tangled up and electrocuted for several minutes until Hogarth pulls that
giant on-off switch.
Amazing
silly,
cartoon switch. Yeah.
That's how it works for power plant, for a power station in the middle of the woods in Maine.
And I don't remember seeing it, but is this where the dent happens? The dent in his head?
I think the dent was in his head before he
From when he
landed on Earth.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure.
Either way, it is important that there's a dent.
Yes, it is.
At the very least, I don't remember a dent being given.
At that point.
Just that it was always.
Gotcha. He kind of pokes at the robot, drops a rock in there.
Yeah, standing right in front of its mouth.
And then the eyes start to light up. He freaks out and runs away.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, pretty sure. And leaves his BB gun behind. Gets smashed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Runs into his mom, who is driving around looking for him.
Yes.
And she's very mad.
Yeah.
And he tries to tell her about this robot.
Yeah, the 100-foot robot, blah, blah, blah. And she's not having any of it.
Not having it.
Right.
She's not in the mood.
Instant conversation killer.
Yeah.
You can't say anything else after that.
Yeah, and for some reason, my note here is that Jennifer Aniston, is doing a great job at the voice acting.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was her until I looked up the cast.
Oh, nice.
There are a lot of people that surprised me in this. So that's pretty much it for that night, I think.
Yes, and then this is the next day is...
He's in class.
I can't remember what happens.
Oh,
in
yeah,
class.
they do the video.
Duck and cover.
Yeah, which is really fucked up.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I guess if you're trying to keep people from like mass hysteria.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it's for. Because like later in the film, the military's like, that's not going to help.
Yeah,
you,
and even Dean is like trying to.
Yeah.
The mom's like, should we get shelter? And Dean's like, that's not going to do anything. I think this scene is mostly just to set the tone of the era, right? Like it's basically just these kids are like, well, it's probably from such and such. We should shoot it and we should destroy it.
Yeah, immediately they went into that like we gotta get them before they get us.
Yeah, the kids say that, which is funny because that's exactly how the government guy puts it to.
Yeah, and that's kind of like. I was even thinking about stuff like Gundam, where we've seen War in the Pocket. I watched it recently with Brandon, where it's like kids are just like that military idolization and the other, is so, and especially with like the demographic where it's like we're gonna market war toys to little boys and stuff, and make being a soldier cool.
One of the comics that we see in here is the Red Menace. So like, even the politics are brought into.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's early indoctrination or what is that? Just propaganda?
It might be, but it's also just a part of our culture.
Glorifying military.
Yeah.
And then also perpetuating the fear of the other.
And I know some of it's deliberate, like military will fund certain types of media. But,
But
the other part of it is just that people are interested in this stuff and they will naturally come to it. And as a result, people will naturally sell it.
Life and death stakes are very compelling.
Yep.
So
highly recommended watching Gundam War in the Pocket. It's a very good 6-episode series that goes further into this.
So that scene was all about setting that kind of tone. And I can't remember what happens the next transition, but I just know that soon we're introduced to the government agent who comes because the transformer station, the electricity station, obviously has been reported. There's people who have been having things being bitten out of their tractors, and at that point we see that Dean is taking
he picks up
scrap.
Cars, yeah. I do want to note here that he's at the diner again.
Yes.
And he's kind of chatting with the mom, and they're kind of flirting, but he's not being creepy about it.
Yeah.
First of all, which is great.
Yeah.
Second, they start talking about the kid.
Yes.
What does she say? That
I think
he's lonely.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's not saying that just to get in her pants.
Yeah.
Like, he truly believes that.
Yeah.
And that's number 2. I love Dean.
Yeah, number 2, I love Dean. 1, you're not a creep. And 2, you genuinely like this child.
He listens to people, and he might not believe them, but he also doesn't make fun of them.
Yes, exactly. And then we introduced to that one, because he's showing up at the site of the destroyed electricity power station, I guess. Yeah, the government guy, who, as soon as he comes on screen, I was like, I love him because I hate him so much.
You know why? Because he's Shooter McGavin.
Oh.
He's kind of like a shitty Buzz Lightyear before he realizes he's a toy.
His voice is so great.
Yeah,
too.
I know.
He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has that very...
I am such a good guy.
Like, and I want to point out right now, like, we know that the person who directed this was Brad Bird, who also did The Incredibles, who also has a very 1960s heavy style.
That's true.
And so if you're looking at his character, the character of, I think his name was Mark Kent or Kent McAllister.
Kent Mansley.
No, Mansley. Jeez, I was getting there.
There's one character that calls him Manly.
Yeah.
And I was trying to keep a tally, but I think that was just the one mistake.
Oh, yeah, just the words came out wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Kent Mansley, he has a very Brad Bird style, like the chin.
He does look like the dad from The Incredibles.
Yes, he does. That chin is so ridiculous, and also all the hair coiffs is very Brad Bird too. I was like, oh, look at that coif of like of hair.
Wait, what studio made this? Was this DreamWorks?
This is Warner Brothers.
Okay,
I believe.
so
Yeah, I think I saw
it's
that.
Warner Brothers. The logo came up.
Didn't remember. I just knew it wasn't Disney.
It was not Disney. No, it was Warner. But yeah, so he shows up and he's like, yeah, unexplained stuff. That's when the government sends me, all this crazy stuff and trying to be cool.
Big stuff happens in big places.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was...
And all that implies.
Which he immediately reneged on.
Yes.
Yeah.
After his car was taken.
Got eaten, yeah.
Oh, this is a big thing.
Yeah. And then they asked you, was there any witnesses? And that's when the employee at the power station gives him the broken BB gun that says hog hug. Because it's been bit off. Yeah. And then, his car he gets into his car to go, and like half of it's missing. And then he runs back to go get somebody. And when they come back, it's completely
just gone.
Just completely gone. I love it. And at this point in time, too, I think is now Hogarth, the main character, little boy, which I love his name.
I think it's very cute. I tried to look it up and is this a real name? It's at least a last name, but
yeah, I who knows where they got the name Hogarth, but I really like it.
I mean, Hog Hug's pretty funny, so maybe that's how.
He's also trying to find the giant too, right?
Yes.
So it's like he's trying to lure him out with metal.
Yeah. just walking through the woods, banging that sheet metal that he has.
Yeah, bang, 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 bang.
So he sets it on a stump and he holds up a distance away with a camera.
Yes.
So he's gonna wait,
and he waits, and waits, and falls asleep.
Of course.
Wakes up, takes a picture of himself.
Yeah,
the metal sheet is gone.
Oh yeah.
And so he turns around. The metal sheet is there.
Oh God! Looks up. Giant.
Yep.
That was good. I love stuff like that. That was good, sequencing and everything.
It was very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he runs.
Understandable.
And then the robot chases him. He kind of trips and falls on his ass, and every little movement that his leg makes, the robot sort of copies it.
Yeah. Yay, bonding.
He teaches him 2 words: rock.
Oh, rock
and tree.
I couldn't remember.
And then he's like, "This is awesome! I have a robot. This is the greatest discovery since television or something."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the robot drops the on-off switch to show that he remembers that he saved him.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So
we're friends now.
Yeah, we're friends. We're best buds.
Aw.
You loving it already?
Yeah. There's that part where the robot's trying to follow him home, and he's like, "No, stay!" And he just said, "Bad robot," and I was like, "Is that how the company came?"
I definitely wondered about that.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that's canon.
Sure.
That's how that company got
canon accepted.
The next few scenes are kind of a blur to me, just because it becomes that scene in all of these types of movies where a kid bonds with a strange thing while keeping it secret.
Well, because the big thing that happens next after the him following stuff is he starts to eat the train tracks.
Right. The government guy is reporting to the mayor of the town.
Okay. Yes.
And while they're all in that room, somebody gets a call.
There's a train accident.
There's a train accident.
Hit something big, huge.
Yep.
And they hit the giant and he exploded into pieces. And this is where we also see that when he dismantles in any way, there's some sort of receiver in his head that all the pieces go back to him. And this is where he gets okay, yeah, come home with me. Mm-hmm. And then stuff all starts to happen really fast because he gets home and he's trying to hide the giant from his mom in the big garage. Oh, the giant doesn't have his hand. Where's his hand?
Yeah.
The whole scene with the hands in the house and he's trying to hide the hat.
A lot of dog imagery.
Yes, yeah. When he's in the bath,
yeah. And then the hand is definitely a dog.
Yes,
and
wiggling
a little bit waggling his tail.
Yeah. And then that's also when
it's watching TV.
Because the train station and the accident happened so close to Hogarth's home, that's where the FBI, I guess national security dude, comes to the house, Kent, and
to use the phone. To call the feds.
Right, yes. Because someone in that scene was like, where's the nearest phone?
Mm-hmm.
They just point to a house, which is so weird in retrospect.
Yes.
There's a sign in the window that says there's a room for rent, so you know that he's going to live there.
Yeah. Well,
first hint.
Because at first he's like, he didn't know the kid's name, but he said, I'm Mrs. Hughes. And then he left, and then this
is
making
fun of his first name.
Yeah.
Like, oh, jeez.
Wait, hug. And then realizes, and this is
the kid must know something because there's a chomp out of the,
And the mom mentioned something about, the mom said,
he just keeps going
what Hogarth had said that night about a giant robot.
Oh, he was up at the power station last night.
Yeah.
Usually, really?
Usually you can't get him to shut up about the giant robot or whatever. And so, of course, Kent is like, all right. And so, the next is like, Kent is living with them, right?
Hogarth goes outside for the night. He wants to read to the robot.
The bad magazines,
a
the
giant
Spirit,
stack of comics,
Superman,
and this is where the robot learns of Superman,
which is important.
I'm really glad they were able to do the actual license for that. I know it can be really tricky because you have to get the Superman name and you have to get the Superman logo, which are separate licenses to get.
Jeez.
So they were able to get both for that.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were separate licenses.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Because they're owned by the different co-creators. So you have to kind of put them pieces together to get the whole thing. But I'm really glad because that by being able to use that, it
was more visceral for the audience.
Definitely.
That way.
Yeah.
That's fine because I've heard recently that titles are not protected by copyright law.
Like the names of things, because you have to be able to refer to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if it's the character, then that's different, I guess.
Yeah.
Like if they had just mentioned a comic,
right?
It probably would have been different than if they had talked about the character,
right?
So he's flipping through these comics, and he sees, what is it, Atomo?
Yeah. This scene was really good, not just for that part, but like the part before where when he was talking about Superman, he specifically said he uses his powers for good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the Atomo about he's a villain.
Right. Atomo is a big evil robot.
Right.
And he tells him, like, you're not like that. You're a good guy.
Yeah.
You're not like Atomo. We don't like that one.
Yeah.
I know. I know. The robot's belly is grumbling, so they have to go hunt for metal.
Yes.
And they're watching the road, and they see this old car that's going to be perfect to eat. But Dean picks it up, so they follow him to the scrapyard.
This is also good scene.
McCop and Scrap, where art and junk meet.
Yes. I forgot all about this scene. I jumped right to Kent. This is so good because like he starts trying down. My favorite part was when he was eating a car and the alarm starts going off.
Yeah.
It's like, stop it, turn it off. And he just like sits on it. And then it's still look up and then he throws it.
And the Doppler is so good on it too.
Just hear a crash somewhere in the distance.
And that's when Dean comes out with a crowbar. Sorry about the crowbar, kid.
You'd be surprised how many people want to steal scrap, but once I turn it into art, I can't give it away.
That's a nice twist on that.
Yeah.
The whole junkyard concept.
Yes, and I love how he's like, well, do you want something to drink? Milk or milk.
Or milk.
I'm gonna have coffee. Oh, I can have coffee. I'm hip. I'm hip with it.
It's so funny because Hogarth is like, he's making dad jokes. Like somebody older would try to be into the memes.
Yeah.
But the older person is like, no, it's stop.
And I love this scene so much when Hogarth is like obviously like super caffeinated and is just spouting off about how he's like, you get alert. I love how they show you the character through how the character would talk to other characters, not just like him just randomly stating. So
I did not shout exposition at any point.
Yes, exactly. And so he's telling Dean, like, in this rapid fire, like, all these kids make fun of me and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if you would just do your homework, you would be smart. All you have to do is do the homework, do the work, and you'd be fine. It's not my fault that I did my homework and I got into the next grade and blah, 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 and just going
Is there more coffee?
Is there more coffee? And then Dean is like, so sweet. He's like, why do you care what those goons think? Like, you get to choose who you want to be.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.
Big theme of the movie.
And it was just, like, so good because, again, 3, Dean. Mwah!
I know.
Because like, he could have been annoyed by this kid coming in and then not like entertained, but then
he listens to him.
He listens to him. And it's actually, you could tell like just how I talk about like he's a real person.
Processing it and
but you could see animated, like he's just like enjoying this interaction.
I know.
Oh, it's so good. Dean's so good.
He's the greatest.
I was reading the trivia for this scene. Apparently, Brad had personally animated this scene when he was super caffeinated.
Wow.
That's funny. God.
There's a yin-yang on the back of his house coat, just so that you're positive he's a beatnik.
Yes.
Like the soul patch didn't help you
Yes. And I think at this point, the robot gets introduced to Dean.
I think there's a noise outside, and Dean goes out and sees him towering over the house.
And then like, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I think
he picks Dean up.
Oh yeah, he was like, don't squish him, don't squish him.
His name is Dean. We like Dean.
We like Dean. Yes, it's true. We really like Dean.
We really like Dean. So Hogarth explains to Dean that the robot needs food and shelter. And Dean nopes out.
The topping the coffee and walking back to the room is one of the best reaction gifts.
He's just deadpan, stands up, pours out his coffee, walks into the house, slams the door.
I'm surprised I don't see that enough for a reaction gif.
And then it was like 37 minutes later.
That should be a good one.
Yeah. It needs to be used more. But then it was like 37 minutes later, which was a funny number to me.
Yeah.
I was like, 37 minutes is very specific.
It's oddly specific.
And I think that's why it's good and why I can remember it. 37 minutes later.
So he agrees to keep the robot overnight, but it's basically already dawn.
Yes.
So Hogarth walks home, sneaks into his house. He's peeling back the covers on his bed. And then Mom opens the door. Hey, honey.
You're up already?
I was just making the bed.
And just in the same motion, just reverses.
Very good.
Another good animated scene moment. Yeah, it was very, very good.
And this is where we see that Mansley is living in the house now.
Gross. And he won't leave Hogarth alone.
He does not stop with
Chief.
the nicknames.
Hey, Captain. Hey, Cowboy.
Hey, Ranger.
Hey, Ranger.
Yeah.
Buckaroo.
It was such a good mashup scene.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Of just like skipping all of, just showing what you need to see.
Yes. Because everything that Hogarth does. Hey, champ. Hey, Captain.
Because he knows something, so he's trying to get...
Why don't you tell me this? Why don't you tell me that? Why don't you tell me this?
What's up with the robot, man? Slugger?
Oh my God. So good. I love it. I knew somebody who would always say, hey, cow. He would always call people either cowboy or cowgirl. And I was like, I'm not a cow. I kind of liked it in a weird, like, ironic way, but at the point it was like, just call me Amber, please. I'm not cowgirl all the time. Anyway.
But Mom says, Hogarth, you go take him to see the sights.
Mom, the sights!
I love this kid. He's got a plan for everything.
He does.
The milkshake shop, whatever.
Takes him to a diner. Is it the same one his mom works at?
I don't think so. I think it's like a soda fountain, a fountain shop. You know what he called back in the day, where you would go to specifically get like floats and stuff, like specific.
The drugmaster.
Yeah, sure. Yep, exactly. Which is probably where he got his chocolate laxatives from.
Yeah, showing Kent that super secret technique of the landslide of mash up this chocolate bar.
It's probably not why it's called landslide.
I didn't even think about that. That's great.
So
and I love that he also had a second chocolate bar just for him that he used for his own.
Yeah. Where did he get this laxatives from?
He probably just bought it in the same store.
Yeah, probably. But he gives him
Choco Lax.
And like God, Kent is just, this is where you see that he's really unhinged, because I'm like, he's threatening a 10-year-old. Like, you tell me blah, 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 blah. All this stuff and being very aggressive. Like, I remember the shot is like, it's just encompassing both of them. Like, it becomes almost like he's dominating the space over Hogarth. Just be like, and then he has to go shit himself.
Yep. And then Hogarth's like, nope.
A dark side to progress.
Ugh, God.
Who built it? The Russians? The Chinese? Martians? All we know is we didn't build it, and so it's a threat.
Yes.
Just like the kids said. Dean is letting the robot eat scrap, and he gets angry when he's eating art. Art is off limits.
Yes.
He makes these metal sculptures out of his scrap.
Right. Yeah, there was a scene at the house before they went to the to get the mudslide or landslide shake, where Dean called the house to be like, hey, dude, I said only tonight. And so Hogarth thought, oh, I need to get there quick. And so by the time he gets there, after he ditches Kent, he's, teaching him how to do art.
He's helping him make art, You
doing arts and crafts? Well, what would you have him do? And this is when
it's a little undignified, Dean, to have a giant robot doing art.
Yeah.
While that's going on, Kent is investigating, interviewing more people, and also just shitting constantly.
Lots of shit jokes.
Yeah.
It's like getting pointed to the outhouse or just finding a bush.
And in that bush nearby, he finds the camera. It says Hughes on it. So he knows he's going to take that camera and he's going to develop that film.
Oh, right, because it's the same scene where he makes that dark room where the mom mentions that he's still shitting. Because he's like, I brought toilet paper.
Yeah. Toilet paper you asked for.
I have things to say about that dark room.
It wouldn't work, I don't think.
That's not how photography works.
No, not at all. I was like, there's still too much light in that room for one thing.
There's a lot wrong with that situation.
And the bathtub and how he's bathing them. Okay, anyway, so.
First of all, you need a very special canister to develop film.
Yes.
You need about 4 different chemicals.
Yes.
You need trays. You need an enlarger. Where to get an enlarger? You would have seen the photograph in the enlarger before you developed it, saying he's all surprised when there's a robot in the... Like, you saw it already. I'm sorry.
Oh, Brad. We'll call you out this one scene.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah,
I'll let it
whatever.
go.
Sheesh. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we do see a picture of the robot now. He has evidence.
Yeah, that picture that he took of himself accidentally took a picture of Iron Giant leaning over him.
In the background.
Yeah.
Which now he has... Oh, yeah, because at some point Kent talked to the general, and the general's like, unless you got evidence, this is just bullshit.
I don't need your feelings.
Yeah, now he has evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before that point, we're walking around the forest with the robot, and we see this deer.
Oh, yeah. That was a moment.
That was
Bambi moment.
I have a lot of frowny emojis.
Aw, yeah. Because this is like Hogarth is showing him about beauty and nature and stuff, and then they see a deer, which we're like, that's a very brave deer to come up and like
it's real cute.
Boop a robot, John Robot's finger.
It gets spooked by a twig snapping, even though it's standing in front of this giant robot.
Yeah. Well, hold on.
Yeah, it's nature.
Nature, whatever. And so, yeah, the deer bounds off into, and then it's like, oh, it's hunting season, and you hear a gun go off. And this is also when we see, well, the robot, we learn 2 things. One, he obviously doesn't understand death fully,
right,
and he's learning about that now. And the way that the deer moved is also important for later on, because when it was dead, it was limp. And Hogarth yells at him not to touch it, because it's dead. And then also he sees the gun, and this is when guns are bad, guns kill. But when he's looking at it, obviously something...
Do his eyes do
his
the red
eyes
thing?
do the red things for
the
just a bit.
aperture starts
Yeah,
to
he gets
narrow.
that aperture eye for a second.
And that's when you get to realize, oh, maybe there's something more to this robot than just it's just
than what
robot.
we know. Yeah. He's trying to explain things die, it's part of life. It's bad to kill, but it's not bad to die.
Yeah.
That was a really good way to phrase that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the robot says, you die? Well, yes, someday.
Yeah.
I die?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, wait till the end of the movie.
Jeez,
Hogarth tells him that he has a soul because you have feelings and you think about things, and souls are good and souls don't die.
Aw.
Yeah.
Live
Sweet.
forever.
Dead emojis.
Yeah, there's a lot of those on the next page for sure. So the giant is lying out in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Hogarth is sort of soothed him, I guess, to sleep. The robot sleeps. And it's dreaming.
Yeah.
And Dean has the TV on.
So this was added to the movie.
Really?
This was extended.
Yeah.
Brandon, or my brother and I never saw this when we were kids.
Huh, okay.
This is like a director's cut. They added
Yeah,
this
we both
scene
must have seen the signature edition.
Yeah, because I watched the original. I didn't know what the difference was going to be.
Yeah.
Apparently that's the new thing.
I only know because both Amber and John were like, what is this?
Yeah. We're like, what? Because like for us, we never knew where this robot. Obviously it's alien of some sort, or not from this world. And when we saw this scene, which like obviously his dreams are being projected to the TV, it shows like lots of these robots, another city being destroyed. It looks like a cityscape of like New York, but it's obviously alien in nature, kind of more organic buildings, kind of futuristic scape or whatever. And maybe this is a robot from the future. We don't even know like how it got here or whatever, but all these robots marching, and my brother and I were like, what? I don't remember this at all.
Did you Mandela affect it out of existence kind of thing?
We're like, yeah, did we just not remember? We would have remembered this, you know? It's pretty significant like information.
I don't think the scene was overkill too. Like, you know, some scenes are added that over-explain. That was still vague enough to be a really good addition, because it's like, whatever that was, this robot had to get away from it.
Because the film was fine without it. Like, it didn't take anything away. And it just added something kind of, what's the word for it?
Well, first off, we know that he
More
dreams.
flavor. like kind of flavorful.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, it's like adding more to like the nature of this robot too. Like it's dreaming.
And being able to project that
and
is
being
really
to the
cool.
TV,
yeah,
it's
and
really weird.
Dean doesn't see the whole thing, like he has nodded off too, but
Yeah.
he sees the explosion at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
kinda
and it was
blinks.
also kind of cool that it was a dream sequence too, because it was like you would just see pieces and parts and like
There are memories in there too, because
Yeah.
he's seeing the deer. He's hearing things Hogarth has told him.
Yeah. Also, if he's made for a war machine, why did the people program him to be able to learn and stuff like that? That's also really strange and weird.
It could have just been part
Maybe they
of
didn't.
what they were.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Tajikomas.
Yeah. Just give it that special oil.
Yeah.
self-driving cars. There's like data collected on how when they're waiting in traffic, like at lights, they sort of creep up
Yeah.
behind the other cars like the other cars do.
Uh-huh.
But there's nothing in their programming that would tell them to do that.
Weird.
They have just learned it.
Yeah.
So like maybe it wasn't programmed in. He just did it.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is weird.
Yeah. AI is
That's pretty creepy.
AI is interesting.
It's terrifying.
It would be programmed in, but the thing is, was it intentionally programmed in, or was it just a bug?
Yeah,
Or
that's
just something
another thing
overlooked.
too. Okay, so yeah, we said that scene. It's like, oh yeah, we got a little bit more of like what this robot is, who he is. Yeah,
Neat. That's crazy that wasn't in there. That's interesting.
yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
I really enjoyed the reactions I saw from that scene.
Yeah, for me and my brother watching it, you're like, what the fuck?
I don't remember where Hogarth was at this point, but Mansley picks him up and like throws him in the barn and locks him in there
Oh, right. Yeah.
and is like interrogating him over this.
I think he was
Picture.
going home because there's a whole scene where they had a day at the park, day at the beach, right? So I think after that fun day,
Jumping into that refreshing water.
yeah, yeah, very refreshing. It's great. Come on in, you
Yeah.
big baby.
I mean, okay, so Sputnik launched in October, and so it's definitely winter right now.
Yeah, it's like the end of fall becoming winter.
Yeah, and we're swimming.
I can't remember. Did the gun shooting thing happen that same day or before Kent?
My notes have it later.
Okay, so I'm thinking Hogarth went home after the day at the lake, and this is when Kent throws him into the barn, locks him up. Oh, your mom's working late, and I've got evidence, and all these people are coming, and then also threatens his mom and like separating the kid.
Yeah.
And so he ends up telling him where the robot is at.
He said, he says it's in the junkyard.
Yeah. Because
Oh, right. Junkyard. Metal eating. Why didn't I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, can't you fucking
Dumbass.
stupid dumbass. And then he chloroforms
Yeah,
yeah.
him.
Yep. And puts him to bed.
and
Very weird. Very terrible.
then when Hogarth wakes up, he hears in the background Mansley is calling the feds and
Yeah.
saying the army is going to be here in the morning. And so they have kind of this stare off
Yeah.
across the hall from each other all night.
That's
Yeah.
a good moment.
Hogarth throws his helmet on,
Yeah.
just
Yep.
crosses his arms, and
I love
obviously
that.
falls asleep
I love
first.
that by putting that helmet on, he's already making plans.
Yep.
Yeah. And so at one point in the night, he does turn over and looks like he falls asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Kent smiles and he lets his guard down.
Yep.
And then
He
he,
falls
falls
asleep.
asleep. And it's so good. He wakes up and he looks really quickly across the hall and he
Sees
sees
the
a
helmet.
form, a helmet form, and the form, and then walks by. Good morning, Kent.
That was great.
That was so good. I love how he rushed over to the bed to double check. And it's like,
You just saw him.
you just saw it. It's not him.
So it appears that Hogarth has called Dean while Mansley was asleep
Yes.
to warn him that the army's coming.
Right.
So what has happened is that Dean has thrown a bunch of junk on him in some building on the property to make it look like an art.
Yes. Like slapped stop signs and other things on. And I love how the mom was like, after the whole thing, like, oh, it's just
Yeah.
art or whatever. And like, obviously the general or whatever is like upset at Ken. They're walking out and she's like, why don't you feel the need to put stuff on him? Kind of like
Seems slapped
on. Like, not like this other stuff where it seems more like intentional. He goes, you like this? You like my art? Oh, yeah. Nice.
I love when he's trying to unlock the door for the army and he's just taking his sweet fucking
I
time.
love it. So now Kent is basically fired.
Yes, they are heading back.
Yeah.
They got their little caravan going. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I feel like I saw Kent in the back of one of those trucks. But then, like 30 seconds later, I saw him driving in his own car.
That's different. That'll be, I think, because some time goes by. Because like this is when I think the gun stuff happens. Because it's like, yay, we can be ourselves again. Let's play. And they're playing Atomo versus Hogarth and the Iron Giant are playing with each other. and he has like Hogarth has that little gun. And wants to be Otomo versus, and no, I don't want to be Otomo.
Yeah, the giant does not want to be Otomo.
And he finds like
Superman.
Yeah, he gets a giant S and puts it on his
Slaps
chest.
it on his chest.
All right, fine, Superman. And then points a gun and starts to like shoot, and that's when full on defense mode starts to
go.
The
red eyes light up, and the aperture gets all
bad robot
crazy.
happens.
Yes.
Bad robot happens.
So the gun fritzes out. He goes to do it again, but this time Dean has seen that the laser eyes of the robot and is like, uh-oh. And so when Hogarth goes to shoot again, the robot starts to do it again, and then Dean
tackles him out of the way.
And then he accuses him, your gun.
Yeah, it sort of breaks the robot out of his whatever trance.
And then Dean starts protecting Hogarth and like, your gun,
yelling at the robot,
you're bad. And then the robot, and it starts to snow. Remember, it starts to snow.
Yes.
The robot's no, stop. Why?
Yeah. Oh God. And then he starts running. I'm not gun. And he runs off.
The robot has thrown away his Superman S.
Oh.
I have 5 frowny emojis.
Oh. And then what starts the next series of events is he hears kids having trouble in the city, right?
Yeah.
Like there are kids falling off of a roof.
Yeah,
kids saw the robot from a distance.
Yes.
And then they were leaning too hard on the railing, and then the railing broke and they fell.
Yeah.
But then he chooses to run into town and save these children from their fall.
From falling, which everyone sees.
And they're like, oh, he's saved.
Yeah.
He's
and he knows
nice
from
robot.
Hogarth that he's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Hogarth specifically said, like, they're not ready.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. There was at one point he wanted to go in. This was, I think, before they even got to the junkyard the first time.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants to run into the city.
Yeah. Like, ooh, like, this is exciting. And then...
Like candy.
Yeah.
And now he just dived into the city streets catching these kids.
Yeah.
And like, oh, he saved the kids. And they're all excited. But this time, Dean and Hogarth are coming back into town to go get him.
Dean had seen the toy on the ground and realized that
He reacted to the gun.
he had reacted to what he thought was a threat.
Yeah.
He was protecting Hogarth.
Yeah.
Or something. He was protecting something. It was
like,
defensive.
It was a defensive. It wasn't like he was trying to do it on purpose. So they're driving back in town, and then as they're driving into town, the army caravan is coming out. I think that's why you see him in his own car, because I'm pretty sure they went back into town. He probably got his stuff and then came out. So Kent sees them speeding down the road towards town, turns around and sees the Iron Giant. And God, he gets into so many car wrecks and gets thrown out of stuff. Like his head hit the windshield and it broke the windshield.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, gosh.
Is it now or later that he's smashed between 2 cars?
This is now. He gets smashed between 2 cars and his head hits the windshield of his own car and breaks it.
So the army is turning around and going back into town.
Because, oh no, we got to destroy it. It's attacking the town. And they start going in, they just start shooting, which is ridiculous. Immediately just start
shooting. Because there's
a
scene where you're looking straight on from the Iron Giant, I think from the perspective of the kids who were just saved, and you see like a rocket hit his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it screams and it's sad.
Yeah.
Dean runs in tries to tell Kent, it only reacts defensively, so if you don't shoot, he's harmless.
Right. And also, Hogarth's with him right now, so stop. Yeah. And then Kent's like...
Mansley immediately turns around...
tells the general,
he's killed a kid.
Yeah.
We got to do what we got to do. God, he's so awful. I hate him so much.
So the robot's running away with Hogarth in his hands.
You're right.
He basically runs off a cliff.
Find out he can fly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thrusters ho.
Yeah. And he's Superman now, for sure. Doing Superman flying.
Yeah.
Also, my brother pointed out, he was like, if you notice that the jets were coming through, he covered his eyes to show he didn't want to see them, so he doesn't go into his defensive stuff. I think he even realizes
he started to go into that mode and covered his eyes against the plane.
So he's trying very hard not to be.
He knows what will happen,
that.
and he's trying to make his own choice.
Yes, exactly. Which was really good also to add to that.
Yes, very sweet.
And then he does get shot down though, and this is when the deer scene is applicable because. Hogarth gets knocked out, but he doesn't realize it.
He's lying in the snow, and the robot kind of pokes him like he poked the deer.
Yeah.
And he literally starts weeping.
Yeah, and then goes into full
Yes.
Oh yeah, big guns come out.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is when you're like...
He goes full shark.
Yeah, he goes full shark, yeah. Yeah, and it's this is when you really know he's definitely, like, if you did not see that extended cut, special edition cut, this is when you know he's not from Earth, or at least not from this time. Because he has plasma weapons of some antimatter weapons.
We had only seen the lasers from the eyes.
Yeah.
And now his like hand is transforming into all these.
And he's got like this weird chest.
Something coming out of his back. Like
the three drills. Yeah. It was like creepy.
He's a Lou.
And he just goes like.
Yeah, he goes ham on.
And at first it's like Mansley's like, shoot him. And then once he turns around and does that first tank destruction, Mansley's like, get out of here. Yeah. Because it does the thing. He shoots a thing that like the energy ball hits the tank, grabs the tank, engulfs it, and then just like, whoop, it's just gone. It's just gone. No explosion, nothing. It's just gone.
Oh yeah, the dent had popped out.
Oh yeah, the dent popped out.
Yeah, I think some missile hit him from behind, and it kind of knocked it loose, or knocked it back where it should have been.
His dent out, so now he can go full.
Yep.
Crazy. Yeah.
I like that at this point, Dean gave up on talking with Kent because I'm not going to get anywhere with this guy.
Yeah, he talks to the military now.
Goes to the general. General actually understands and listens to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He tries to call off, like they're setting up this missile strike.
Oh my God. Yeah. We got to use a nuke.
And so the general's trying to now call off the strike, like he's radioing in. Mansley takes the radio from him and says, shoot that missile.
Yeah, launch the missile now. But this is after the robot has basically become gentle again, because they're taking Hogarth back into town in order to get to a doctor. Hogarth ends up slipping past everybody and running out to the robot to get him to stop.
Yeah.
And so you can make a choice. You can choose. You don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to be a gun.
He was facing that big giant arm cannon.
Yes, and you can choose. And
you
then
are what you choose to be.
Yes,
you choose.
And so he powers down. Hogarth's there. And then that's when the general also is realizing, oh, wait, he didn't kill the kid?
Right, yeah.
What is wrong with you, Mansley? We're cutting this off. And that's when Mansley grabs and says, launch the missile now. And the robot's back in town standing all around them.
Yes. So the general's like, you idiot.
Where does that missile going to hit?
Where the town.
Where the robot's at. And where's the robot out now?
Yeah. Mansley tries to say, well, there's a fallout shelter over there.
And the general's like, that is not going to work. That's not going to work. And he's like, well, so you're going to die with us, for your country. And then Man's like, screw my country. I want to live.
So he tries to get out of town, but the robot stops the car.
Yeah.
At this point, like,
you die with us.
Yes.
Kent's always been shitty, and he's always been just a pain in the ass. But this is the first time he's been stupid, where he realizes, like, once the general says that, he's like, oh, the robot is here. Oh, I will die. This is the first time, like, he's ever been
he's not thought out the process.
Well, I mean, our first clue is when he didn't even think about the junkyard as like, oh, something's eating metal.
That's true.
He's just so obsessive.
He's not a really good detective, I guess, but whatever. But yeah, God, what an idiot.
So the missile's coming. They see it coming. It's, I think, still on the ascent.
Yeah.
And the robot turns around and says, I fix.
Oh.
You stay. I go.
Yeah, Hogarth, no follow or not
no
following.
No
which
following. Is exactly how Hogarth had put it at the beginning.
Yeah.
When the robot was trying to follow him home.
Yeah. And he Superman's up.
Hogarth says, I love you.
Oh, God, that was so good. That was so good.
At what point are the boys crying?
Probably when the attacks are happening.
Yeah.
Got you.
That's when they start.
Because you love the robot?
Well, yeah, it's like this injustice that you're watching unfold.
Yeah.
So yeah, the robot thrusters up to stop the missile out in space as he's going up to it.
And he says, I am Superman.
I'm Superman.
And then his closes
so happy.
And he closes his eyes, and then it's like, that's when I start crying.
Yeah, me too.
Superman, and he's like, I'm even crying right now.
Losing it. I know.
And it's just like, and he closes his eyes, and he just lets it happen.
The town is saved.
Yep.
The end.
Except like just like in the end of Balto, he gets a statue.
I thought exactly of that.
He gets a statue in Maine.
So was that a Castle in the Sky reference?
Which one?
Because when they showed the statue first, he's got the robot shoulders, he's got birds all over his shoulder.
You mean like Castle in the Sky? I think for my mind thought Howl's Moving Castle. I was like, I got confused.
No.
Castle in the Sky.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that scene, because I saw the robot head, the shoulders, and birds.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just what I thought.
I haven't seen either of those. Can't help you.
It's just dilapidated robots in this one area. So it's like this. I don't know. I recommend it. It's good.
I like Castle in the Sky, yeah.
So, Mom and Dean are dating.
Yep, I approve.
He made the art of the robot.
Yeah, his best work yet.
Except for the bug thing. I don't know. Hogarth is playing with the other kids, so he is now accepted, whereas before he was teased. And Dean hands him this package that the general sent.
Which my brother and I were very confused. We're like, why would the general send this piece of a robot tech to this child? But anyway, it's fine. I mean, it's a cartoon.
He did, I guess, shut him down at one point, so he knows that there was some kind of rapport.
Yeah.
And the general, has sent him the only piece that they recovered from the robot, which is like the screw that went in his
jaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it like cuts to it pans down the wallpaper into Hogarth's room as he's sleeping. And the thing kind of lights up and like it did earlier when he's collecting all the pieces of himself. And it's going somewhere. It's got places to be. That's how you know that the robot is out there.
Yeah, and apparently it's in Iceland.
It's in Iceland.
I think conceptually that was just like a perfect combination because
100%.
How else do you communicate to Hogarth that Iron Giant's okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to give him a piece, and that piece has to be trying to self-assemble again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like such a great combination of events.
Also, like just narratively, like emotionally, it was perfect because you had that just.
Like I would have been fine if they cut out, just saw the screw just fall out of his window and roll off. I would have been fine with that. They didn't need to show us that.
It would have been a little more dreamlike that way.
Yeah, and it would have been like, oh, he's out there somewhere still.
Yeah.
That's really good and comforting. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe my only reason why I could think that they would keep the scene where they actually show the head is just because kids might not get that context.
I wondered about that, and then it also kind of worried me a little bit of like, did they maybe think they were going to make another one of these? Because a sequel would have ruined it, I think.
I would not have wanted a sequel.
No.
God, please don't. I mean, if you make a sequel, you make a sequel, but I'm not going to watch it. I don't know who I'm
maybe
talking
Brad
to.
Bird could have figured it out, but
yeah, I mean, Incredibles 2 was a good sequel.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
It doesn't need it.
Yeah,
I don't think.
And I think they probably realized that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit it. They hit all the emotional beats, and I don't know. I think it was really well rounded and
good storytelling.
Tied everything up, and
a lot of the shots are just framed in really interesting ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like from very early on in the movie, they were picking angles that were really interesting that you wouldn't normally see in cartoons.
What's one that hit you?
It was one in the diner. It was like a low angle shot in the diner. I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting for a cartoon.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Especially when they were like watching the missile and they show the scene where it's like undershot. Hogarth comes into view and is looking up, and then all of a sudden the Iron Giant comes up, and it's like, I don't know. It was just a very like interesting angle to choose and it's like conveying this really like the enormity of the entire situation.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably why there are so many good angles is because you have this difference of scale of this tiny kid and this huge robot. So you do have like the leering over the shoulders, the looking up at the giant hulking mass.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
That's the end. Anything else that you want to add? Like anything else that really struck you this time around?
For me, for whatever reason, I don't know if I missed the ending or not. I thought he just died and that was it. I don't know if I saw that at the time and maybe eventually forgot the post
because it was
missile
just
scenes.
So affecting.
Yeah, because that scene is just so predominant. Maybe I just forgot what came after.
Right.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
I just watching again makes me remember how much I love Dean, but also the reason why I say that is because the dialogue is so good with him.
It's really
like
good.
One of my favorite
all of the dialogue is good.
Is when after the cannonball into the water and like the water all rushes out and he like is still in his chair and he's like floating around this water and then he sits down into like the water gently places him into the middle of the road and like this hog farmer drives up and goes, "Hey, you're in the middle of the road." Wait, what did he say? It was like
I think he was just like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it was like "Hey,
like, what of it?"
Yeah.
Hey, you. Yeah, you're in the middle of the road. Yeah, it was just like so good. Like
that was that also.
And then the hog farmer's like,
all right.
Whatever.
Drove by him.
Yeah,
like that kind of stuff really gets me. Like, especially with Mansley too. Like the whole like that rapid fire montage scene of him bothering Hogarth. That characterization of just hey champ, hey slugger, hey captain, hey cowboy, hey ranger.
Amazing.
It's just like it just encapsulates that character so well, and so that. Domineering, irritating, like buddy, and then you have Dean, who's like this really chill, like yeah, yeah. It's just like, so good.
Yeah, speaking of that middle of the road scene, there were a lot of really good comedic moments in this movie that were genuine.
Yeah.
And not like made for kids. It was like just like the absurdity of the hand going through the house.
Oh, yeah, trying to hide it.
The things with Kent, like getting his face smashed.
The hand is like unrolling the toilet paper.
Yeah,
like a
his little finger unrolling the toilet paper, flushing the toilet, figuring stuff out. Yeah, and like learning stuff. It was like, it wasn't that over the top humor they do for kids. It was like situational humor, which I actually really, really love, where like people are trying to like make things happen. When you're trying to control stuff, like I think of like Faulty Towers is a lot like that.
Oh yeah,
God, where it's like, oh no, I want a Waldorf salad. It's like them trying to figure out how to do something to please somebody. That kind of humor really gets me, so I really like that. That was really good here.
Yeah, Dean was very much the straight man. Like just how they're drawn, like him and Mansley are so different. Like Mansley is a cartoon character.
Right.
Dean is not so much. No.
Also, he doesn't have a jaw that's 2 miles long.
Dean. Or this like crazy shaped forehead. Oh
yeah. Gosh. Very Neanderthal-like.
They all have huge ears.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, we were talking about that, like style-wise. My brother and I were like, did Brad Bird have anything to do with Atlantis? Because with Atlantis, a lot of the stylization reminds me a lot of how Brad Bird does stuff, but I'm not 100% sure, because like definitely in Atlantis things were more geometrical, like there was more squared off, and Brad Bird stuff tends to be more, like I said, sleek and pointy, and but there's still like proportions, like the wrist size of Hogarth plus his hand size is just so ridiculous. Like when he was like making, like when he's doing all his cool hand like the
wigging out,
wigging out, and
jumping into the water where he was making all those
hand motions. Like you can see
his hands
like
were huge.
And like the ears were huge. His ears were huge too. It's like very exaggerated features, but also very geometric. And yeah, so I don't know, like I definitely saw some similarity in Atlantis, but I don't know if he had anything to do with Atlantis.
I don't know. I just know it was a very well animated movie.
Yeah, this was. CG, how do we feel about the CG?
I think it looks good.
Fine. It looks fine.
It wasn't bad. Because
when you think about, I can't remember if there were any scenes where Iron Giant was drawn, but I believe he was fully 100% CG.
I would believe that. I mean, you can see it, just like the frames seem different. Like it moves like Futurama moved. Yeah. It was very much like that, but
there was no moment where it took me out of the movie. And I think because he was such a vastly different character than everyone else. He wasn't a human. He was an actual machine. Yeah. It kind of didn't bother me that, the frames were slightly different. It seemed more believable that way.
Yeah. And sometimes the CG, like the art on the CG, can really be overdone compared to the rest of the, like, I can't think of any examples, but like,
I know what you mean.
This fit in.
Yes.
It happens with anime a lot, especially with cars.
Yes.
Or
yeah.
When you watch the Gundam OVAs, there's a part with horses where they're so obviously CG.
Yeah, and they reuse it all the time too. So it's like, it looks like it just stands out so hard. But yeah, they did a really good job of integrating the CG into this 2D animation. Yeah, because it's almost it was not detracting at all. No. Like I was never like, oh wow, that's obviously CGI. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it just looks well.
And there are times you say, oh yeah, this is definitely CG, but it was never in a negative way.
It's seamless in a way, yeah.
Yeah, like the energy shots, like when we're talking about his weird plasma cannon stuff, like that's all that ball that went around the tank, that was probably CGI, and it just didn't look out of place.
I think, and further in CG and animation, I think Disney has been good about that, because I think about Beauty and the Beast, where that was another movie that, I think that was the first movie that had CG and animation together. And
I think so. Well, the ballroom scene.
Yeah, and it was blended together really well. So I think Disney had a knack, especially at that time, for that.
Beauty and the Beast was 91 or 2. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds about right.
Sounds right. I think I saw it in the movie theater when I was a child. Teeny weeny.
I think I already know the answer, but what's the thing?
Superman.
Yeah. I think it's just so hard. I think if you had asked me when I was a kid, it would have been the praying section, where it was like, that was just a thing that we
It was a meme in your house.
It was a meme in our house, and we did it all the time, and it was so funny. As an adult, for me, it's just that message, you're not a gun. Like, to me, you choose who you are.
Yeah.
That message is so strong.
Yeah, that's, I think, the first time I got a little teary was when Dean was telling him that. Like,
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I think having watched it the second time, I think that would be the thing, because that is such a strong theme.
That message?
Yeah. And the first time it was the Superman bit, especially because I never really considered myself a fan of Superman. Like, because having not read Superman, you just think it's this boring,
there's no
one
conflict.
punch man kind of thing situation. But there are really great Superman stories out there that involve not what he can do, but what
having
that
to make
infers.
A choice.
Yeah. And this was good because it could have that Superman conversation, but this is not an invincible being that we know of at the time.
Right.
The sacrifice actually had weight to it.
There was a consequence. There was a real consequence.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that you don't really get, at least when you think about the concept of Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. What's the most 90s thing about this movie?
How many animated films, 2D animated films, come out a year now?
Yeah.
Like hand animated?
Yeah, like hand animated.
Yeah, that might be the thing.
Don't know if there was any.
Right.
The last I can think of is Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, they did sort of throw back with that one.
And like Winnie the Pooh, they did a 2D of that, and I didn't see it, but it was a big deal that it was 2D.
Right. I think that's it. It's like we don't see very many purely 2D animated movies coming out anymore. It's always like Toy Story,
I know
Pixar.
It's an argument that's been made before, but like after Toy Story came out, whoever was making the decisions was like, wow, these computer animated movies are really doing it. But it's like, well, yes, but also it was Pixar writing excellent stories.
Right, exactly.
So it's not the CG that's doing it.
It's the good storytelling.
Yeah.
Yes. And so like it can still be hand animated, and I wish they would do more of that.
Right. Yeah. I think that's really it, because like as far as like setting is concerned, it's 1957. So there's not really anything 1990s about that.
Did you guys ever watch The Angry Beavers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those backgrounds reminded me of that. Just
the 19
stills of, I don't know if it was the art style or I don't know, the simplicity of like this outdoorsy camp kind of
feeling.
Yeah. It felt very Angry Beavers to me, which I guess is also a 90s thing.
Yes, it is.
Pretty sure I know these answers too. Is this a good movie?
Oh my God, it's such a good movie. I love it.
Does it hold up?
Yes, absolutely.
Will it hold up in another 2 years?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, the theme you can't get, like that theme's such a good theme.
Hand animation is never going to age.
No.
Like CG at any point until it passes Uncanny Valley, it will age.
Yeah, because you can still watch like Fantasia and like all of and Snow White. Like you can still watch those, and they're still watchable.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Watching Toy Story 1.
Reboot didn't exactly age.
No. I watched no joke, like 6-7 years ago, I rewatched all of Reboot. It's a really good story.
I really want to rewatch it.
It's
like
really
my dad
good.
and I were obsessed with it.
You just have to just
let it
go. Let it just
let it wash over you.
I don't think I could do it.
I did, and it's a really good story, and I love it. And
I'm glad to hear that. Now
the animation was so bad. I remember loving Beast Wars too when I was a kid. I can't watch Beast Wars because it wasn't really that great of a story. Don't murder me, people who love Beast Wars, but Reboot had a really good story, and it was very, very and good characters. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm really into this, but my God, the CGI was.
Yeah, I really wish I watched that as a kid, because I'm most likely not going to watch it now.
Nostalgia is not enough to get you because you don't. Yeah.
I just watched one-off episodes from time to time, so I missed out on the story, and I saw the bad CG.
Great.
So it turned me off to the whole thing.
Okay, so yeah, it would have been better off if it was a 2D show.
I think that would have. That wasn't the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Back then it was like, ooh, CGI.
They were in a computer, so it would have been kind of weird.
Yeah, it's very true. Dang it. Oh well. I would love to see a reboot of Reboot.
Sure.
That would be really good. I thought there was for a while.
Reboot squared.
Yeah, I want that. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Any last thoughts about this one?
If you haven't seen The Iron Giant and you listen to this, well, I guess you basically have seen it through our words, but you should just watch it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody should watch it.
Recommended.
I mean, show it to your
Yeah, teach your kids about choice.
yes, and that it's okay to be who you are, and you can choose to be good.
Dean is a great role model for your little boys.
Yeah.
Yes, Dean is a great role model. Dean.
I do have one last addendum.
Yes.
I'm only mentioning this because it's important and it's part of why the movie was made. I'm afraid that it will kind of spoil the discussion we've been having. So was it Bob Bird?
Brad Bird.
Brad Bird. His sister was murdered by her husband.
Oh, God.
With a gun. And this was part of what inspired this movie, because he was having the thought of, like, you know, if this gun had a soul, would it have done that?
Huh.
Whoa.
Yeah, so this whole thing is like...
him working through some stuff.
Yeah, that being the choice of...
Yeah.
And you can see it definitely in the movie now. Just because the villain in the movie is guns and weapons.
Yes.
Right, that's incredible. Like, yeah, the actual, like, other than Mansley, of course, like, the villain is whoever created the robot, who set it in motion in some way, like someone using a gun would. But like you said, if the gun had agency.
Yeah.
Wow.
So not to bring down, but
no, I mean it's interesting.
That's important.
It was really, because I was going through IMDb reading facts, and that one just hit me like a load of bricks.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's better than the fact of, you know, Hogarth's mom drives a truck that's later than the year the movie takes place. Like, or this one.
The word beatnik wasn't coined until 58.
Yeah. This one really bothered me in the YouTube list, trivia list, was that this is the favorite movie of YouTube personality, blah, 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 blah. It's like, get that off of IMDb.
Wow. I really do. There's always a talk about, like, should you take into consideration what the artist was doing into what you consume as media? Because I had no idea. And I got the message really clear. And my interpretation basically was like, the same. It's kind of like what we're talking about with Ava, you know, knowing where people are at when they made the thing that we consume. And I think that adds to this definitely.
Especially having come out in the summer after Columbine in The Matrix.
Yes.
God. What a year.
What a year, 1999.
Some say it's the greatest year in film.
Some do say that.
Jeez. But yeah, man. Okay.
That was a really cool fact.
That's a cool fact.
Sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sad, but I didn't know, so interesting.
All right. I guess that's a wrap.
Make good choices, people.
Yeah. You are who you choose to be.
Yeah, don't be a gun.
Don't be a gun.
Be Superman.
Yay.
Yeah.
But, you know, more interesting.
$19.99 lives on at geekspective.com, where you can find other fantastically fun podcasts like this one. You can reach out to this show on the social medias at Plitgif, PLITGYIF. That's Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. And you can find me on Tumblr at Millennial Rage. 2 L's, 2 N's, the whole business. And I know I've been kind of off and on the posting here recently, but I'm doing my best. And this will be my first plug for this, so it would actually really mean a lot to me if you guys could rate and leave a very nice review. That's all for this week. Hope to see you at the next party.
Sorry, I just like turned my head and my neck hurt. I twitched. I can't wink and turn my head at the same time, apparently.
Yeah, sometimes when I crack my neck, I'm like, maybe this is going to pinch a nerve one of these days and kill me.